We all want bigger, more jacked arms, but the thing about arm training videos is that they can be very, very played out. They're like ab training videos, how to get lean. I like to think outside the box and tell you things that you haven't heard before and give you some underrated takes and things that you can implement easily today. I'm gonna take you through my favorite exercises, some that didn't work so well for me, and then how I fixed those exercises to make them work well for me. Mistakes to avoid, the exact sets and reps, and again, how you can implement them to your training. Now here's the thing about compound lifts with arms. Here's where I'm gonna push back on popular opinion a little bit. If you just wanna look like you lift to the average person and look good, that's all you need to do. Chin-ups and rows will work perfect for that. You're a little bit lean, boom, you're good to go. But you click on videos like this because you want to know how to get exceptionally jacked. I made some pretty good gains, and I had never really isolated my arms until 3-4 months ago. I'm not even gonna pretend that it's not freezing outside. I had to throw the hat and the coat on. But let me know if you wanna see a follow-up video for this regarding triceps. My first go-to right out the gate is hammer curls. That's extremely underrated. Some people are probably saying hammer curls, those are mid. In fact, when a lot of people talk about hammer curls, that's exactly how they talk about them. They're an afterthought. But here's a hot take and just how I feel in general and what infers a lot of my personal exercise selection. I think that the bicep is really important to having a developed front arm, obviously, but the brachialis gives you like that three-dimensional pop, bro. Like, you have to work it. Nothing compares to hammer curls for working that muscle group. And then on top of that, it still works your biceps really well, and it works your forearm, your grip. It's just a jack of all trades exercise. It doesn't work the biceps the best on their own, but it works them good. And then it does a bunch of other cool stuff. On top of that, it's really easy on your joints, your bicep tendons. So if you're working around an injury, or even if you need to warm up, this is a very high stimulus, very low fatigue movement that you can just pretty much throw anywhere on your training program. Now, flipped up on the screen, I have some examples of sets, reps, progressions, how you can throw them in your training program. I'm not gonna read them to you. You can read them, they're there. What I wanna spend time talking about though is just mistakes to avoid with this movement. First and foremost, the main thing that I see when I go to the gym is people throwing around too much weight. Now, that's not to say treat this like a baby exercise. You use a weight that's challenging for the rep range that you're working in. But rep quality going out the window turns this into a completely different exercise. That's why a lot of people think that it's mid, because when I see them do it, that's what they do. Keep the elbow down, keep the shoulder down, and put it all in the elbow. That's how you get the best benefit out of this movement, in my opinion and in my experience. Another thing you can try is, if you need to keep your forearm engaged in the movement because you find that your wrist can't stay stacked, you can use a fat grips. That's gonna force you to do that. And low key, I find that it just magnifies all the muscle groups that are worked in a hammer curl anyway. In terms of variations that you can use, there's a few that I really like. The first and foremost off the top of my head, other than the fat grips one that we just talked about, is just doing hammer curls on a preacher curl, man. I find that the stability of the preacher curl station just allows you to keep a better peak contraction on the movement. I really like this for higher reps, a little bit higher than even the hammer curls, like in a 10 to 20 rep range, and 1 or 2 sets as a finisher. I really enjoy it for that reason. Now, some people have been waiting for, what are the worst exercises? Well, I have some that didn't quite work well for me, and I'm gonna talk about how I fixed them. For me, again, if something doesn't work well for you, knowing how to adjust it is a very valuable skill that I wanna start teaching y'all. But pinwheel curls, I couldn't really connect with them. Those are a lot of people's favorites. I know natural hypertrophy is a big enjoyer of those. That's actually how I tried them from, you know what I'm saying? But it didn't work well for me. I saw my boy Ken Cooper, aka Ginger Cleese, doing like a preacher curl supported hammer curl, but not quite like what we just talked about. And it was exactly what you look for in a pinwheel curl. It's just a more strict hammer curl, basically. When I did them Ken's way though, I connected with the movement. So that's how I adjusted that particular movement. The sets and rep range I really kept the same as regular hammer curls. It's just that it ended up being a little bit lighter. Now, my next group of exercises that I really like for me are incline curls. That's either done with cables or dumbbells. I personally prefer cables just because I feel like I get a better stretch at the bottom, but this is gonna work on that biceps peak. If you're at a home gym, just use the dumbbells, man. You're not really gonna miss out on a whole ton. Now, in terms of mistakes to avoid, there's a lot that I wanna cover here just because I see this get messed up a whole lot. First and foremost, pin your shoulders back when you do this. and keep your elbows and your shoulders back and do not move them. A lot of times people, to move more weight or to get that last rep, will raise their elbow. They'll do that shoryuken, that dragon uppercut rep. And then, you know, your shoulder raises when you do that as well. So that's taking tension completely off the arm the way that you want it to be. It turns it into a completely different movement. That's why a lot of people don't really connect with the movement, actually. Now, again, I have sets and reps up on the screen. What I want to spend a little bit more time talking about is just a variation that a lot of y'all saw me do, and you're doing it because you saw me doing it, especially if you follow me on Instagram, and how I changed it to make it better. Easy bar curls. Please, just wait a second. I really like them. I think they look cool, and they work really well. They just didn't work as well for me as the cable curls. Here's how I fixed them. I just did a standing easy curl with the cable. It worked way better for me. I kind of did the easy bar curls as a variation to sub in for that, but I got a way better pump doing the cable version, better mind muscle connection. The eccentrics felt better. It felt more stable. I didn't feel my lower back getting recruited. The shoulders didn't raise or anything like that. It just felt like a more high quality curl for me that I connected with better personally. In terms of the sets and reps, again, I kept them the same. It was just the way I adjusted how I did the exercise. And that's what I want to have y'all as a take-home point. Change things. Don't necessarily discard them because they didn't work the first time. Last up is the reverse curl, and this again is a very underrated pick because a lot of people treat this it's just a forearm exercise. Well, yeah, it does work your forearms, but it hammers that brachialis as well, and you still work your biceps. All the same benefits of a hammer curl apply here as well. Now, in terms of different variations of this movement that I like, I've tried it with a straight bar, I've tried it with an easy curl bar. I like the way that it feels better with an easy curl bar. Sets and reps up on the screen, how you put it in your program, you know the drill. What I want to talk about is the mistakes that you can make with the movement. There's not a whole lot you can do. It just comes down, just like with the hammer curl, loading. This exercise is harder than an easy bar curl in that you can't use as much weight. So if you load up what you load up on a regular easy bar, you're not going to be able to adequately perform this movement. That's where you see half reps, swinging, things of that nature. As well, eccentrics are very important. Biceps love tension. You want to make sure that you keep them under tension. But also, it's just a nuance thing, right? Thumbs on or thumbs off. Or thumbs on, thumbs off. I got them mixed up. I'm a giga brain. But you're going to be a fella that connects better with this movement one way or the other. And just experiment on your warm-ups. If you find that you connect with it one way versus the other, do it the way that works better. Now, if you've been watching for this long, you've tried the pulls for biceps thing to get the biggest arms possible, like we talked about in the intro, and that obviously didn't work for you because there you are. But in the interest of intellectual honesty, I just want to talk about ways that if you did want to do a pull movement for biceps, how to modify it. It's something that you see newer people doing, people that we see as jabronis, weak. It's just a band-assisted pull-up, bro. You change the pull to make it bias the biceps better. What does the band do? It makes the bottom easier, and the top is just as hard. I find, and again, this is just me personally, that I got a world-shattering pump the very first time that I did an all-out set of assisted pull-ups to failure. It felt incredible. In terms of mistakes to avoid with this, just use like a band, bro. Don't overthink the band tension. Use the same band that you use every time. You're just trying to make the bottom easier. That's all, so that it's challenging for the biceps at the top and that your lats aren't taking over the movement. That's all. Don't overthink it. The biggest mistake is freaking overthinking it, man. That's all she wrote, fellas. That's what's worked really well for me. My arms look incredible now. If you like the idea of me making more videos like this one, where I break down bad exercises and then how to fix them so that you can connect with them better, let me know down below with a comment and I'll make another episode of this. I'll see y'all soon. Have a great day.